Hello, hello. Welcome everybody to my channel. This is Wendy in Neverland, talking mostly about cross stitch, in case you've stumbled across me and you don't know what this is for. I do cover a few other little things that might be happening, but this is primarily what that's for. Today is, let me see if I can think of the date. I think it's the 23rd of January already. Time's flying by, people. It's gonna be Valentine's before we know it. So let's go ahead and move on with whatever's going on in our lives. I hope you're having a great winter. I know Midwest and probably some of the East a little bit. It's getting hammered with snow as usual. That's typical and gonna happen. We have had, depending on where you live in the metro area around Portland, Oregon, we've had like one day of snow, maybe some ice on another day. But the snow, it covered everything, but it melted off by probably the afternoon time because our ground isn't cold enough to keep that to stick and to stay. Yeah, we typically don't get snow. It's not unlikely for us to not get snow all winter, unless you're up in the mountains. If you watch Beth Twist's Instagram, you see her posts of snow, 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 snow. But she lives a higher elevation, close to Mount Hood, so she gets a little bit more snow. But the metro area typically doesn't get snow. Rare occasions like this year where we got one day of snow, we might get a couple days of light snow. It doesn't usually close the schools. And around here, any little bit of snow or ice closes the schools. It's not like back east where they're used to dealing with it and they don't close schools most of the time. Yeah, every little tiny bit closes the schools here. So that's all we've had so far. I don't know. I mean, because it's getting towards the end of January, it's already starting to warm up a little bit more. It's probably in the 50s for the most days. So it's probably not going to snow anymore unless we get some freak weather system that comes through, but probably not. Other news, things I've done. Last time I did a video was right before I went to the coast. So I ended up spending the night at the coast. I've been wanting to go for like a month or more because I just haven't been for a while. It's not always ideal to go in winter, but some people really like that because they like to see more of the rough waves and just kind of the wintry weather. The only thing you have to be careful around here about going to the coast is that you do have to go over the coast mountain range, which isn't as high as the Cascades or Rocky Mountains for that matter, but it's high enough that you can get snow. So you might run into some problems with that. The other thing is if you get a storm, it's not infrequent for maybe a tree to fall across the road or several trees to fall across the road. So if you really want to go because you want to see the stormy weather, you risk the chance of running into that kind of problem trying to get back home. So I went and just, like I said, partially because I wanted to, partially I'm like, I'll just make this a birthday celebration, which was at the beginning of the month. So I went down to Depot Bay. It's just a quaint little town. The video isn't terribly long, I'll insert like a couple little videos of what the town looks like from where my hotel was, which was right against the ocean. And in Depot Bay, there is no sandy beach. It's just rocks. It just drops off right there to the ocean. So I got a cute little video of the town as well as the water. And the day that I got there, it was cloudy, but you had patches of sun that would break through, and you kind of had a nice sunset because it was right against the clouds. So a fairly nice day. The next day was a totally different matter. It had turned rainy and icky, and the boats had a gale warning. So if you're going to go out on the water, then they had a gale warning. So not only did you have the gale warning and the icky weather, but you had, it was high tide in the morning and it was full moon. So all of that combined made for higher than normal water levels and tide levels. So I got some video of the waves crashing. You know, you never get, it never looks as good on a video as it does in person. We all know that. So as I was watching, I could clearly see down a little ways from where I was staying, the waves were crashing into a little pocket of the shore against the rocks, and just the water would shoot way up. And the road is probably about 30 feet higher than the water level. And the waves were crashing up above the road level. So it was kind of fun watching that in the morning before I left. At Depot Bay, having a wonderful night, kind of in celebration of my birthday, but also just because it's great. It's sometimes you can see whales swimming right, let's see, over there, and sometimes they're out further. But this is where the channel to the harbor is. It's insanely narrow with rocks. I mean, it plunges right there throughout the whole channel, but that's insane. I would never want to drive a boat in there. Well, the weather has turned. Not quite so nice as it was yesterday. Plus, it is now definitely high tide. Oh, it's gusting pretty good around here. All right, let's move on to some stitchy stuff. I mentioned in the last video, and I kind of mentioned in December what I was going to do, which was a new start every day in January for my birthday month. And I showed some of those in the last video, the ones I had started. And now I have a whole bunch more because now it's been 2 whole weeks. And so I've got quite a few more. Next video probably won't be as many to show because obviously we're down to the 23rd. So I will have about a week or so's worth in the next video. Sorry, I got a little itch on my eye. So we have a lot today. So let's jump right into it. I'm not going to show them in order of how I stitch them for each day because it's enough work just to pull them all out and show you the ones I did stitch on. The nice thing about that is if I do have a series, which there is a group of them that run in the same series, that I will be able to show you them in consecutive order instead of the order that I stitched them in. So I'm going to start with some smaller ones first, and then we'll move into some bigger ones. All right, first one I'm going to show you is the Antique Cups and Spoons. Okay, this is Shakespeare's Peddler, in case you haven't seen that one before. And of course, since I am only doing one, basically night's stitching, I don't have a lot to show you, but there's some. Some of them I got a lot more. I had more time or something. I'm not exactly sure. I can't remember why I had more done on some of the others. So here's this one. A good amount done. Almost all of the words, or the letters for the word of teacups, just missing the T there. So got quite a bit done on that one. Nice thing about those smalls is they do go pretty quickly and you are able to get a lot done. The next one is my antique rooster sampler. Very cute. And show you what I got done on that. Couple roosters, couple letters. So a decent amount for one night. So there's that one. The rooster, I forgot to mention, it's JBW Designs. That's who made that one. The next one, Key Keep with Fob. This is Jeanette Douglas. So you've got this image and then this. So I got this done. This is pretty much all of the Key Keep, except for there's a couple of really, really small buttons that go in the corners. So there's some buttons that go here in each corner. And then there's a little key that goes in the center. So this is kind of a finish, but as you know, as I pointed out, I still have to do this one. So that still needs to get done. But I got a lot done that night. Oh yeah. All right, so those are the smallest ones that I have. Let's move on to some that are a little bigger. Next one is Hickety Pickety with thy needle and thread. All right, let's see how I'm going to do this. Trying to keep everything organized is going to be interesting. So there is what I did. So I got a pumpkin, some leaves, and this is the top of the wagon. So as you can see, it's got a scalloped edge along the wagon, and that's what that is. There's that one. Next, this one. This is the Patriotic Sampler. A lot of cool stuff. You want to see a little up closer. Okay, this is a Jeanette Douglas. Well, and I got this much done on it. So some of the words, the heart I believe is finished. I don't think there's any more I have to do to that. And then started working on the flag and got up here a little bit. There's that one. And the next one is the Glitter Village. I am starting with house number 5 because what I'm going to do, as you can see, there's a whole bunch here. And this is Country Cottage Needleworks. There's 9 houses. This one looks kind of like a church. I believe that's a church. The others look much more like a house. You can see. And what I'm doing is I'm making it in a long strip. I'm not going to put 9, 3 by 3 by 3. So I'm making it into a long, it's going to be almost a yard wide by the time I finish it. And I wanted the church, I just decided to put the church in the middle. So that is the one that I started on. It's actually number 5 in the series. Let's see if we can get that here. So a door, the outlines of the windows, top of the house, the church, the steeple. And as you notice, it's on glittery fabric. So I'm not going to go through and tell you if I changed fabrics or what the fabric was, or if I changed threads or not. There's just too much to try to keep up with to add that to this. So you won't get that part. The next one I've had forever, really long time. I mean, I've probably had this thing, I don't think it's been 10 years, but it's probably been 7 or 8. I know I got it when I lived in Minnesota, and I've had it for quite a few years while I lived there, and then we've been here, so I've had it for a while. It's called The Voice of the Shepherd. Cute, cute. Let me see if I've got the designer name for that. I did pull that out. It's told in a garden. I know that there's a specific person. Oh, Marilyn Levitt Emblem is the actual person that did that, to design it. All right, now I've moved my fabric. I gotta find what I did. So here is that. Started the barn, because that's the middle. The roof for the silo and the barn are striped right now. They will still be striped a little bit, but it'll be much more subtle. I just don't have those stitches in yet. It's kind of a slightly lighter gray. So those get put in there. And the lines in front of the barn are fits. So that's why there's no stitching there. So there's that one. Next, we have this. This is called, show you the bottom, 3 Tulips, Brenda Gervais. I've had this for a little while too. I don't know if I've had it as long as the other one, the Voice of the Shepherd one. And show you what I've done on that. Got a good amount of the bunny done. Now this does call for specialty threads, so weeks or something. I can't remember exactly which one it is. And as we know, with specialty threads, it's probably going to be variegated slightly or heavily, depending on which kind you get. And because I didn't want lines to go across for this, I stitched it so that it would hopefully look a little bit more like the way the fur would lie on the rabbit. So I just outlined, as you can see, the whole thing, but I'm just going this way with the stitches up and down and around the curve. So it looks like his fur is kind of running that direction. So that's what I'm doing there. Cute little guy. Alrighty. Next, this is one of the series. Now, obviously, Glitter House is kind of a series, but I lumped it together as one project because it kind of needs to be one project. These next 4 are a series in a sense because they kind of go together, but they'll all be stitched separate. So this is a Just Nan, and this one is Winter in the Forest. They are a sampler to a degree because they all are going to have the alphabet on them. So this one runs around the block for the center. This one's going to have a lot of white. And I think, let me see. I think it might be Algerian stitches or something like that around these, like holly or something is what it's supposed to be. They're not French knots. It's like an Algerian stitch. So there's that, and this is what I got done on it. It's kind of nice because I'm a center starter for the most part. It's kind of nice not to have to start on a house every single time because it seems like the house is pretty close to the center in most cases. So I got to do trees. All right, the next one in this is Autumn. And again, as I mentioned, this has alphabet, so those are in the corners for this one. There's that one. These, yeah, as I mentioned, this is the Just Nan. So this is Autumn in the Country. That's what the title of that one is. And there's that. I'll put this behind it so you can see. Again, I got to start on something besides the house, which was the apple trees. And then we got the grass bottom. So that's what I did with this one so far. The next one in this series is Spring. Got the lettering inside the box, a little bit more of a cursive, italic type of look to it. This is Spring in the tulips. So we have tulips as part of the border. This one, I believe, even though the pot is right there, the easiest thing to start was going to be the house. So I started the house on this one. There's that. As I said, just because I don't have a lot of, you only get so much done in one evening when you start these. So not terrible I done on that one. And the last one for this series, probably, I know a lot of people have said they really like the winter, which is nice. This is probably one of my favorites out of this series, is Summer by the Sea. And we do have alphabets, but they're kind of centered around the outside border. And we got the little whale in the ocean. So cute. Very beach-like house with the weathered wood kind of look. And I love the stitching up here. Kind of look like waves as well. And obviously on all of these, I will be changing the date. Because as you can see, this is 2012. So I've had this for a little while. Alrighty. And again, I started with the house, as well as some of the bushes and a tree. So that's how much I got done of that one. Alrighty. The next one I've also had for a good long time. I pulled these out. Part of the reason I ended up choosing the ones I did is because I've had them for a while and I have wanted to start them. I just haven't, because I found other things I really, really like. Even though I really, really like these, just finally get into it. This one. Glory in the Morning is the title. Crossed Wing Collection. You could do this on any fabric you want, but I did order the fabric that was made for this pattern. So I'll show you the stitching I did, which is just a little tiny bit, but I'll hold it up and try and let you see the whole thing. It's really long, so I don't know if you'll be able to see the whole thing in the video. All right, let me make sure I've got this going the right way. So we have one of the Morning Glories stitched, a little bit of the stem. And that's, like I said, about centered. So the fabric, as you can see, just goes and goes and goes and goes and goes and goes. It's really, really long. I don't know how much of a border they gave me, so I don't know what the exact dimension, I can't tell you right now what the exact dimensions are, but it's going to be a big one. So can't wait to get that one done too. Alrighty, and I believe we're down to the last couple ones. Snowman Wisdom. So lots, it's also going to be kind of long, not nearly as long as the Morning Glory one, but it's going to be a little longer one. And lots of different sayings that I love. So scroll on all that. So there's going to be a lot of white. There's a lot of white. There is some color. And then a lot of the lettering, which will, be something besides white. But really there isn't going to be a ton of stitching. So I did this is what I'm going to show you. And except for the buttons and his arms, I got that ball done just last night. So that could probably be done in a night. It's going to go somewhat quickly. So there's that one. And this is by Sue Hillis Designs. Now, in here, the picture, it looks much more blue for coloring. The fabric is almost like a light green. And that's the called for. I got the called for. So it's going to be a little bit different. So you can't see the snowman really, really well. There will be a little bit of shadowing stitches down here and a little bit of outlining along the bottom. So that will help pull that out. And then of course, when I get his arms and buttons in, that will define that a little bit more too. There are quite a few spots where it's like an individual snowflake. And if these are just regular X's, there are some regular, there's like a snowflake look and then as well as an X, for cross stitch. I may have to change threads or do something slightly different because I showed you that snowman ball, the body of the snowman just barely shows up on here. So an individual one, I don't know how well it's going to show up. So I may have to kind of rethink how I do those individual ones. I don't know if I don't want to just rely on beads all the time, but I may have to find something that's going to stand out a little better because I don't know. I want it to look snowy, so there's only so many thread colors you can pick that are going to look snowy and stand out. So we'll see. I've got a while. It's not like I'm in a hurry to figure it out right now. The next one, and I believe the last one, is this. This is obviously Barbara Anna Designs. It's called Let It Snow. Just little scissors with the houses sitting on top, the girl, the scissors dangling down off of them. I love all the detail work on the scissors as well as everything else on it. So this is how far I got on that. So kind of do the hinge part of the scissors is where it started. Got a house on top, and then the handles will be over here on this side. So good amount done on that one. So obviously some of these are going to go faster than others. We'll just have to see how much time I have, and and I'm going to want to get back to my Haid after December, so that will take up some time as well. So we're just going to have to see how fast all of these end up going and how I fit them into a normal schedule. As I mentioned, I am not going to do the same thing for every month where I stitch all of these projects every single month. I'm going to pick a few of them to concentrate on, and then rotate those few with others throughout the months, so that it's not just the same thing. So we'll see how I kind of work this all in. All right, the next thing that I'm going to cover is I showed you a couple of project bags that I had made last time, that if somebody wanted to use those for some salves that we're going to be starting or had just started, they could. Otherwise, it could be used for any bag project. It didn't have to necessarily be for those salves. So I have a few other things that I want to show you that I have that are new types of bags, not necessarily the project bags. Some new things. If you've followed me on Instagram, you might have seen these, otherwise they'll be new to you. So the first thing that I'm going to show you, they are adorable. Every time I make one, I just giggle, and they're so cute. Are these lovelies. They're just little mini bags to do whatever you want with. You could use them as ornament bags if you wanted to. You could use them as storing small stitching accessories in them. You could do whatever you want. It doesn't even have to be stitching related. So, for example, this is got clocks all over it. It does have a little zipper. And then the inside has a nice lining that goes with it. So you got that. Let's see. This one was the cupcakes. It has, I think, the polka dots. Kind of a polka dot look. There's several polka dots in there. Kind of hard to show you because they're very small. And then we've got one with birds on it, and it's got a nice red on the inside. So those are, they're just so freaking adorable. Those are on my Bags by Wendy Instagram if you are interested in getting those. So cute. The other thing I've also started is, and I kind of got this idea because Oregon is now a no plastic bag state. Now, I don't follow the news really well, so I'm not sure if it's the complete Portland area or if it's the whole statewide. I got a feeling it's statewide. So when you go to the grocery store, you're not going to get the plastic bags anymore. And if you want a bag, you have to pay for it. So it's like a paper bag, a paper grocery bag. So they've been trying, certain cities have already implemented this maybe a year ago, maybe several years ago. So certain cities have already kind of started complying with this. But now it's an actual law where they can't give out the plastic bags, and they are forced to charge you. This isn't something a store is wanting to do, but they have to charge for the bags. I think the only stipulation is depending on how many employees you have and whether or not they have to charge for a bag. So, like small businesses might not have to. So, because of that, everybody has to either bring a reusable bag that they have or pay for a bag. And I thought, this might be a good way to do something to give people another option that's kind of a nice option. You can buy their little bags that they have in the store, like the, I call it fabric, the stuff that's not, I mean, it's durable enough, but it's real thin and, they're not usually that pretty. Which if you don't care if it's pretty or not, since you're going to the grocery store or whatever, then so be it. But I thought it might be fun to have something a little nicer than that. Also, a little more durable. Now, these are nice enough that you can use them as a regular tote bag. But if you want to use them for a grocery bag, then here's your chance. So here is one. So this is like the duck cloth. Then you got a nice accent. Usually a handle that coordinates with it in some way. And then the inside is also lined. It's not just, plain inside. So coordinating fabric that works for the inside. It does have the boxed bottom. The bottom is, I believe, about 4 inches across. So that's how wide the depth is. I believe it's probably around 14, 15 inches wide. So a decent sized bag. I mean, you can carry it. And the handle's long enough that it can go over your shoulder. This part hits a few inches below the armpit or so. It just kind of depends on your body type, how it's going to fit. But it can go over your shoulder, or you can just carry it. So those are the bags I'm going to make. The material that I have right now, I had a few, but I don't have all the bags anymore. But I'm going to show you the fabric because I'm going to make them and put these on my Instagram site as well. So I'm going to show you what I do have, and you can keep an eye out for it so that you can, if you're really, really interested and you want to get one, then you'll be able to. So here is another combination. So this is the duck cloth. This is the accent piece. That's going to be the lining. And I have a green strap that goes with it. It's like a cotton webbing is what they call it. The next one is a gray duck cloth. This is the accent, the nice lace look. And then the lining. And the strap again is more of this greenish turquoise color. Then the last one that I have is this one. My fabric is kind of wonky here. It's got a black duck cloth. Beautiful floral lining, and then the strap will be black. So I have the material and I had the bags, but I don't have 3 of the bags anymore. So I will be making those and putting those on my Instagram site as well. Possibly by the time this is uploaded, the bags will be there so you can see them. I believe that's about it. It's been a busy 2 weeks, obviously, with all of the new stitches that I've started, the trip to the coast, and just, normal things that we do all the time. So anyway, with that, I hope you've had a lovely day. Hopefully the next couple weeks coming up will be great as well. Nothing too strenuous, too, like you're dreading. Hopefully it's kind of calm. We know that you got the good days and then the bad days are going to have to come with it, but hopefully none of those will be happening in the near future. with that, I think I will say a big, huge thank you. Thank you for coming to watch my video. And that if you haven't subscribed, do that. Kind of keeps things up, the numbers up, so that we can keep going with this. Yeah, I think that's about it. Big thank you, and we'll sign off and say goodbye for now. See you later.